What's up? What's good? What's cracking? Welcome back to my podcast and my channel. I am Sarabella, and this is my podcast and my channel. So, first thing you'll notice, location. I am filming in a different room. I'm kind of trying out different spots in and around the house. Let me know what you think. This is my room, obviously. So, no judgment, please. No room insults. It's pretty late. It's kind of like almost 6 o'clock. I spent most of today doing an online course. So I'm pretty bet after it, pretty tired. But I need to film today in order to get my podcast up on Wednesday, or to get this episode up on Wednesday. And I went for a walk and I'm all energized anyway, so I'm all good. I have a little flower in my hair that I got from a blossom tree outside. So we might as well put a countdown on the screen as for when that's going to fall out. It's going to happen eventually. I kind of decided I want to start the podcasts with a little bit more of a check-in. Just talking about what's been going on with me. And you can tell me what's going on with you in the comments. This way it's a two-way exchange. Rather than a monologue. Like I said, I was doing an online course today. That's what's going on with me today specifically. I am also doing a digital detox, which I'll be talking about, as you can tell from the title. I've been weirdly emotional this week. I nearly started crying, or kind of did start crying at some very random things lately. I was reading an article on Bloody Sunday, nearly started crying. Yesterday I was reading something about Howard Ashman, the Disney lyricist who died of AIDS in the 90s. Cried at that. I watched his documentary later on Disney Plus, and I didn't cry at that. That wasn't as beautiful or as moving as I expected. And then today I was listening to his songs, and I was listening to the song Beauty and the Beast, and that was so beautiful that nearly made me cry. So a friend of mine who's into astrology is telling me that it's because Mercury is in retrograde. So I don't know. Anyway, like I said, I'm doing a digital detox, which is kind of going to be the first meat and potatoes of this episode. What inspired me to do it? I have been reading. Where's the book gone? Oh, hold on. I've been reading this book, Digital Minimalism. I've been reading this book, Digital Minimalism. It's actually quite hard to say. He recommends in it to embrace the digital minimalism lifestyle. He recommends taking a month or 30 days off all optional technology. So optional technology depends on your life. Like, let's say I'm still checking my email. I'm still using recording software on my Mac. I'm Googling things that I need to Google, not that I don't, that I just want to Google. And I'm considering the podcast not optional because it, keeps me consistent. It's a good thing, and I want to chat to you guys as well. So I've been including that in things that I can do. Things that I can't do, I'm not going on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube. And I was mainly doing this for the point of Instagram because that has just made me very miserable lately. And my addiction was really bad to where I'm a massive reader. I always have been. And I was really struggling to read this book, because my attention span had gotten so fried. I had Instagram on my phone at all times for a month. Normally I delete it on and off. And that's what totally fried me. My addictive personality is too strong. I'm not able for that at all. So at the end of the month, I'll be looking into ways to reintroduce it, or see if I can reintroduce it at all. So how I've been getting on with it so far? It has been surprisingly difficult. So like I said, with Instagram and TikTok, it's mainly a relief. I'm glad I'm not on there. I do kind of want to know what people are messaging me about, but I can live without it. Anyone I'm really close to has my number. But the YouTube thing has been difficult. I didn't realize how strong my YouTube addiction was, actually, because YouTube is like a little treat for me. It's not something that always makes me feel horrible, like, again, Instagram or TikTok. It's something that whenever I have a down moment, a break, whenever I'm finished doing something productive, I go, great, I'll put on YouTube now. And I kind of realized I lose a lot of time doing that actually. And the first thing you realize when you're doing a digital detox is how much time you have in the day. Like already, I only started this on Saturday. Today's Monday. And already, like on Saturday, I was so productive. And I don't love the term productive, but like I was doing shit I actually wanted to be doing, you know, like stuff that I needed to do and that would have taken me probably like a few days without that. Because when I finished an activity, where I'd normally go, oh, that's great, I'll reward myself with a bit of YouTube, I just went on to the next thing, you know? The problem with that is times then when I actually did want downtime, I didn't know how to get it, you know? Because, like I said, my attention span has gotten so short that I am actually struggling to read a book now for pleasure. Like it is, I'm reading this, it's really good. But I do prefer fiction. I like some non-fiction, or I'm reading a good bit of non-fiction at the moment as an adult. But generally, I prefer reading fiction. So I think if I had a really gripping book, that could be my downtime, you know, that could be my reward. Whereas I don't really consider this to be a reward. Like, I don't know what hobbies or healthy ways I can occupy my time in a way that switches off my brain the same way YouTube is, where you're getting a real rest. Like I found on Sunday, when I had done my things, most of my things, I still had more to do, but I was tired. Like I wanted a break and I wanted to do something in my break. I was really stumped, and I think I might have actually in the end ended up being more productive if I had taken a break and watched YouTube. I'm not going to do that during this detox, but it might have nearly worked better, you know, because I didn't actually really take that break because I couldn't think how to occupy myself during this break. So if you have tips or ideas on kind of low grade, untechnological hobbies that can take your time and that's not, you know, that switch off your brain. Do you know what? I'm actually thinking of them now as I'm saying it. I'm like, art, you know, art can, you know, you have to get the stuff out or whatever. But if you make a space for it, I could get like an adult coloring book maybe, like really switching off brain stuff. Like that could be nice. And then I crochet as well, but like even crochet, I do that when I'm watching something or doing something else, you know. I would find it hard to just crochet. So that's the world we live in, you know. But it's going to be 4 weeks roughly of this digital detox. So I'm going to keep you updated every week on how it's going for me and the learnings that I've had or not had. I forgot to mention actually a lovely thing today, kind of a gratitude. I'm trying to focus a lot on gratitude. And, you know, feeling it, noticing it. Well, when I was doing my course in here today, I could see outside. I had the window open because it was a lovely day here, and I could hear birdsong, which was beautiful. But then also, there's a magpie that's building its nest somewhere, I think in the eaves of our house. And I could see him or her coming over and back with twigs in its mouth. And that was fucking beautiful. I'm not going to be able to not swear on this podcast. I'm sorry. I'm just so, it's part of my vernacular. You know, it's how I add emphasis to things. So maybe I'll start beeping myself. I don't know. Or I'll try and swear in a way that it wouldn't be picked up. Like a fuck. Anyway. So let's move on to the second part of the title. I wanted to talk about this, I think, in long form for a long time. I've talked to friends individually, not even that much really, about my thoughts on it. But I've wanted to kind of lay out to have a structured debate even with myself on this issue for a while. What spurred me to tackle it this week is a video I saw. It was by a woman, and she was reacting to another girl's video. This video, I've no idea who was on it, what podcast it was or whatever. But it was a girl on a podcast, and she looked really young, like probably about 18, maybe between 18 and 20. I'd say 18, to be honest. And she was saying, I honestly don't know why any hot girl would bother going to college or getting a conventional job when you can make so much money on social media and OnlyFans. And the woman who was reacting to this was kind of lamenting this point of view, which, surprise, surprise, I will also be. No, I don't believe it. What? So, let's get my own thoughts on OnlyFans out the way, first of all. Do I think women should do OnlyFans for work? No. But do I blame or judge women for doing so? Also no. This is such a complex issue which touches on so many different aspects of feminism, choice feminism, male gaze, and fantasy, sexuality in general. So I'm going to try and cover it as briefly as I can. I'll also have to self-censor a little bit, as you've heard already, to avoid YouTube censorship. I want to make a few disclaimers, first of all, on talking about OF here. The first thing I want to say is I am not talking about people who don't have a choice, okay? I'm talking about those who choose to go on it. People who do it out of absolute necessity, I'm not addressing you. If a woman wants or needs to turn to SW, OnlyFans seems like the absolute safest way to do it. You don't actually need to have relations with anybody else, you know, except yourself or at all. You can do whatever you want on there. You own your own content. You're in your own home. I mean, compared to SW, where you're having interactions with random people, or where you're having relations with other performers, both situations are more dangerous, I think, than OF for pretty obvious reasons. You know, more dangerous to your own safety, your consent, what you're willing to do and not do. It's much easier to set that, certainly, with OF. The last kind of disclaimer I want to say before I get into ethics of OF is I think when we talk about ethics, we have to be, it's assumed that we're discussing adult women, right? So one take I have, which I think is relatively uncontroversial, is that the consent age for OnlyFans should be higher. I've heard it said in the US, you know, people suggesting it should be 21. It's insane that a woman could be not legally allowed to drink, but could be allowed to make these massive choices, and give into this enormous pressure which we're seeing around us, you know. It's covered everywhere. Like, it's just, I do feel it's sort of pushed on young women and girls, like every day in the Daily Mail, online, everything. There's an article about this woman made 30k doing this. It does feel like a kind of a propaganda effort, and I would not blame young women for falling for it, especially ones that young. So, firstly, this is going to be a little back and forth debate with myself. I'm going to try and include as many points of view as I can in a short video. So the main argument used by those making money on OF is if men are going to objectify me, I might as well charge them for it. And I think this is fair. It's quite hard to argue with, you know. But a counterpoint I'd like to offer, my counterpoint to that would be that the male fantasy involved in objectification, the fantasy that strips women of their personhood, makes them an object, a thing that is not able to think and feel the way a man does and exists only to serve him. When we provide that fantasy to men on OF for money, for their money, when we give it to them in the private chats, when we cosplay this woman, we are confirming to men that she exists. And I don't think they should get that. I don't think they should get that confirmation because she doesn't exist. I don't think we as women should ever have a part in co-signing this fantasy of what a woman is and removing her wholeness that makes her her. Now, for the other side of the coin, there's a big movement at the minute, or kind of moment, where women are, I guess, encouraged to thirst over other women online in the comments, you know, etc. We're not just allowed, we're encouraged. And I guess there's it's the discussion around the female gaze and whether that exists. And I do think you can tell when content is geared towards women. It usually involves a woman having fun, expressing her sexuality in a way that she controls. Like an example would be like pole, heels classes, or a woman participating in a TikTok dance trend that, you know, she finds fun. And you'll have women, gay women, straight women, everything in between, in the comments being like, yes, or I'm no better than a man. Basically like thirsting over this woman, and it's all a-okay. I think there's an obvious explanation as to why that's okay, and men thirsting in the comments of a woman's post is not. for most women. There is a safety, generally speaking, in women, thirsting over, complimenting, celebrating the sexuality of another woman. Basically, women are not afraid of other women, whereas, unfortunately, in many cases, I'm not talking about every time a man compliments a woman. I think everyone knows the difference. But like on online spaces and sometimes in real life on the street, the compliments that men give carry a threat, an implicit threat, whether they realize they're doing it or not. It's scary. So I think it's quite obvious that it doesn't need to be analysed as to why women are allowed to do this and men aren't. But this is all leading up to a personal story, okay? So, to preface, I think we've all seen kind of OF promotion on Instagram, TikTok. That's one of those things where I'm really outing myself now. I think we've all seen it. It's like them being like, we've all seen hentai, right? And people are like, no. No. So what happened to me one time, right? I'm blushing. I was trying to clean up my oh my god, this is worse again. I'm really blushing. So on Instagram, right, you get offered, I was trying to cut down on certain, oh my god. Okay, I've composed myself again. Basically, when you keep clicking not interested on reels, if you're just trying to get rid of everything you're seeing and restart from scratch, and then Instagram gets a little confused and it's like, oh, well, what do you want? I'll just show you loads of stuff. So that kind of happened to me. I was clicking a load of not interested and I started getting some really weird stuff, which was clearly OF promotional content. And again, it was very male gaze geared. It was made by women. It was male gaze geared. It was generally kind of cosplaying this zombie, not a real woman. Always then in the comments, you have link in bio. And the people reading that know what that means, that their OF link is in bio. So all of this is to say, right, going back to the women celebrating, women thirsting, woohoo, go get it, girl. I came across a video maybe like before my detox a few weeks ago, of a woman, I think probably in a heels class, as far as I can remember. She's dancing, she's reclaiming her sexuality, she's having a great time, and it seemed very female directed, female gaze, And then I go into the comments and I see link in bio, and I judged her. Do we only allow women to explore their sexuality without a man present? Or is it okay when we perceive her to be in a position of power? And why did I think this woman's video was okay when I thought it was directed at me? I think it challenged my perception that women on OF are always selling a fantasy to men. Maybe they're selling their sexuality to somebody else. Maybe it's a full version of their sexuality to anyone who'll consume it. But it would be foolish to ignore how pervasive the objectified, less than human version of a woman is in our society. And how commonly sex work and sexual content serves to reinforce this image. It plays into it and therefore reinforces it. But then sexuality is complicated. There could be an argument made to say that we've become too censorious, especially on the left, with regards to sexuality. What type is allowed, how someone, especially a woman, is allowed to express it, what can be celebrated and what can't. I would be remiss to not mention as well that many of these OF creators who make a lot of money are popular because they look underage. But that's an issue for another video. So I hope I've done a fair job covering this topic. As I say, my intention is never to shame women for anything, really. I support women's rights and women's wrongs. But there's a few brave voices coming up these days to address this propaganda that is, I do feel, a large propaganda machine is being pushed on young women, young girls. And I think it's up to some of us to kind of point out that maybe you could talk about the personal repercussions of it, the issues around it, but that also maybe this isn't feminist, or maybe it is. But I think we need to have space for discussion around it. And again, in SW in general across the world, the really terrible fact is that most people who are doing it don't have a choice. Either they literally don't have a choice in that they are trafficked, or they don't have a choice because they don't have any other way to earn money at all. So I think this needs to be taken into account when we talk about how SW is empowering. Most people in the world who are doing it don't want to be. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you didn't, at least be nice about it. Please, I'm very sensitive. I've been Sarabella. There'll be another video up next Wednesday. I love you, and chat to you soon.